This episode is sponsored by Well Balanced Nutrition and 360 Health.
Welcome to the Health Geeks Book Club podcast. Listen in as Kristen Norton and Eleanor Russell review all those great health and wellness books you've been wanting to read or you have read and want to talk about. Here's Kristen and Eleanor.
Good morning, Kristen.
Good
I've
morning.
been reading some books. Have you?
Yes, I have got a big pile of books, and I'm so happy about it.
Yeah, new ones for? Oh boy, we're in trouble because I got a stack too. But you know, something happened to me that's never happened while I was reading a book that someone else was reading. I'm coupling along, I get to the end of it, and the last sentence is not complete. There's no end punctuation, and the idea just drops off the page. And then I looked at the page numbers, and I went, that's kind of funny. It jumps from 326 to 245. So the book I got is missing pages.
That's so
Have you ever
weird.
read a book that didn't have pages?
No, that's never happened. How funny.
Yeah, well, it sort of flipped me for a little bit of an edge, thinking, well, you know, self-compassion we've read. We should give the publisher a little leeway, or Amazon, where I got my paperback from. Maybe I should have gotten it from the library or Barnes and Nobles or other booksellers, or because you could look at the book and see that it was complete, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I did an online purchase.
Well, but would you have known the book was incomplete without looking through it?
Well, I will now, because every time I get a book, I'm going to look at the last page and see what the number is. Okay. You know, and see if it has a period at the end.
They just wanted to leave you in suspense what the ending is going to be.
Perhaps.
For more
I don't know.
information, please consult our website.
Oh, that's a great marketing idea. Yeah, that's Tim Beeman, if you all aren't aware of, our producer and technical advisor. We're happy you're with us today, Tim.
Thank you.
Yeah, chit-chatting here, drinking our coffee, trying to get revved up and thinking about what are we doing? You know, we're looking at podcasting, and it's kind of a new media for me to be in. And since I'm a more mature or seasoned team member here, it seems as if my crowd is not really familiar with podcasting yet. So those younger folks of you out there, please tell your moms, your dads, your business partners, check out podcasting. If you don't know how to listen and select what you're putting in your brain, which is part of our health and wellness idea, is that what you feed your brain can influence your well-being. And so I think the younger folks that I know are much more intentional about what they spend their time absorbing.
Yeah, and I'll just say, if you are a regular listener or you've been impacted or enjoyed one of our podcasts, share it on social media, and let everybody else know about us so that we can continue to grow. And, you know, I hear a lot of people multitasking. This is how I like to listen to my podcast, whether I'm going out on a walk, then I'll listen. If I'm doing something kind of boring, like the dishes or chopping vegetables, I'll put it on. And my mom told me the other day she was scrubbing her kitchen floor while she was listening to us. And if you have an Alexa or a Google little gadget, that might be an easy way to listen to it. Tim, can you help the listeners understand how to do that?
Yes. So,
Did you just ask Alexa?
yeah. Well, so what I have to do, and Alexa, I will be honest with you, is a little fickle. So she sometimes,
Like all women, huh? You weren't going to say that.
I
were
wasn't
you?
going to say that.
Don't go there.
I'm gonna stay over here in my lane. But she, even one of my podcasts that we listen to every day, she sometimes, I don't know that one, or I can't find that. So you have to be specific sometimes. These podcasts are on Amazon Music and Audible. However, they may not show up current episodes. So what you have to tell her, if you're using Alexa, is, Alexa, play Health Geeks Book Club podcast on Apple Podcasts.
Oh, and even on which platform?
Yes,
Yeah.
because she will automatically look at Amazon Music first. And like I said, even though I thought I had this podcast on Amazon and Audible, it wasn't showing up. So I resubmitted all my podcasts to make sure that they all were, and now they are. But the Beeswax Vinyl Daily one that I do, when you say play that, it says playing the latest episode, July 1st. I'm like, no. Today is the 31st. I need to hear today. So she doesn't respond well to that, or at least Amazon doesn't. So make sure you tell them Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you have a Spotify account.
Well,
connected.
She can't read your mind.
No, she can't. But she should. They should take the intelligence part out of artificial intelligence if she can't at least get the direct commands correct. So
that algorithm needs tweaking.
Yes, it does. And on Google, you just need to say, "Okay, Google, play Health Geeks Book Club podcast." And I will tell you that Google uses web-driven stuff, so. It will pull from the server straight instead of going through any aggregators. So if you have any trouble with getting this podcast on another platform, send me an email, tim@thelessdesirables.com, and I will work to get that platform working.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
So obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, you know how to listen to podcasts. But if you want to switch over to something like Alexa or Google or any other assistants, then if you're having trouble, contact me, and I'll make sure that platform is well aware of the health
resource for podcasting is the what do you call yourself? The Godfather?
The Podfather.
There
yes.
you go.
Yes.
Well, you're talking about people listening and how they choose to listen. I had a listener contact me and say, "Oops, I've dropped the ball. I'm not listening to him like I was." And my husband listens to him in the car, and he can do them while he's running or doing this or that. She said, "But I'm a one-track mind. I have to sit and listen." So I think it's also interesting how there's so much diversity in the way individuals do things. And that complicates all this literature review that we're doing, because one size doesn't fit all, I don't think.
I don't either.
And sometimes you can take a book and say, "Oh, this is the answer for everybody. You need to read it." Not sure.
I agree.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly believe that each of us has such unique tendencies that we have to create our own path and just kind of gather information from these books rather than look at it like this is the only way.
Right. Although there may be someone that's going to work for, because they're at a place where they just need to shut down all the noise and do the one thing.
Well, yeah, that could be true too.
Yeah, and so no judgment. The thing is, if it works for you, it works. And there are lots of ways to skin a cat, as I used to say in my profession. Might need to X that one out of this. But, that brings me to another thing. A lot of the wellness literature now is trying to substantiate itself with science, which I think is a great idea. And regrettably, historically, there are some things that have been done in the name of science that have been somewhat unethical, or perhaps we don't choose to perpetuate as we go forward with our science investigations. And some of that has to do with animal research. And we will be referring to some of that, I think, in the books that we're going to be reviewing soon, if we haven't already. But that's where we have found a lot of information about how things work as we intervene with a biological system and then see what happens and take measurements and collect data, draw conclusions.
You know what's cool? Well, and on that note, I think we all have to be our own kind of scientists.
Oh, yes.
To apply these things from these books and figure out what works and think of it like an experiment. But what I was thinking is that the neat thing is, as we read these books, we're seeing some of the same research studies come up over and over again.
Yeah, so they become the classical, the pivotal findings. Like, this has not been... We haven't changed our opinion about what these guys found out back in 1927.
Right.
It still holds. And until somebody changes our thinking, we're going to refer to that work. Yeah.
Or that's where we're starting from.
Yeah. So I'm drinking my coffee, and I'm thinking that you all have probably heard enough of us chit-chatting about podcasting and listening and feeding our brains. We're going to maybe wrap this up. I'm Eleanor from 360 Health, and you can find me at 360healthforyou.com.
And I'm Kristen Norton with Well Balanced Nutrition. I invite you to come find us on social media. We're talking all about meal planning, rhythms, and routines. So check us out at wellbalancednutrition.com.
And I can't wait till we open our next book.
Me too.
Views and opinions stated in this podcast are solely those of the contributors and are not necessarily those of our distributors or hosting company. This podcast is copyrighted, and no part can be reproduced without the expressed written consent of Kristen and Eleanor.